Today's tech news moves fast, but understanding it shouldn't be hard. That's why Snarful Solutions Group brings you Connecting the Dots, where we break down what's happening in tech and why it matters to you. Now, let's dive in with your hosts.
I mean, imagine just clicking unmute on a pirated soccer stream, right? And in that exact split second.
Without downloading anything at all.
Exactly. Without downloading a single file, without typing a single password, you just instantly hand over your banking credentials to a server sitting in Bulgaria.
It is genuinely terrifying.
It really is. Today, we're looking at the massive, invisible architecture running our world, from the literal pipes pumping water into semiconductor plants, all the way to the digital borders protecting your living room.
Yeah, the stuff you don't see until it breaks.
Right. Well, welcome to Connecting the Dots, broadcasting live from Snarful Solutions Group in Sacramento, California. I'm Alex.
And I'm Morgan.
And today is Monday, June 29, 2026. Before we get into the heavy hitters, let's take a quick look at the world right now.
Yeah, depending on where you're listening from, your morning might look wildly different than ours.
Seriously?
There are actually currently 337 active U.S. weather alerts, with 212 of those sweeping across land.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is a highly turbulent map out there today.
The contrast is just staggering when you look at that national radar versus, what's right outside our studio window here in Sacramento.
Oh, absolutely. We're sitting in this beautifully sunny 90 degrees with just a gentle breeze rolling in at about 2 to 6 miles per hour.
A pristine summer day locally.
Right. While much of the country is literally battening down the hatches.
Just a good reminder to check those local alerts for sure. Looking over at the markets this morning, we're seeing a bit of a mixed bag of reactions.
Yeah, kind of all over the place.
Right. The Dow Jones saw a slight bump, closing up at 52,054.03, so that's a gain of 58.89 points, or a modest 0.11%.
But the S&P 500 sort of decoupled from that upward trend, right?
Yeah, it dipped slightly. Closed at 7,358.62, which is down 33.26 points, or negative 0.45%.
And for those of you tracking crypto, Bitcoin is also slightly down today.
Yeah.
It closed at $59,021.31, dropping about $475.17.
So that translates to what, like a 0.80% decline?
Exactly. The markets are taking a collective breather today, it seems.
Well, definitely. On the sports front, baseball gave us some incredibly tight matchups to close out the weekend.
Oh, man, they did.
The SF Giants edged out the Atlanta Braves 3-2, with Robbie Ray taking the win on the mound.
Nice.
Meanwhile, the Athletics dropped their game against the Los Angeles Angels 1-4. Sam Aldegheri secured that win for the Angels with a very, very solid pitching performance.
He really did. Navigating all of this, the turbulent weather, the shifting markets, the daily grind. It just requires a serious amount of sustained focus.
Today's episode is brought to you by Strong Coffee, the premium instant coffee that tastes like a traditional brew, but is packed with 15 grams of protein, MCTs, and adaptogens like ashwagandha. Get clean, sustained energy without the jitters. Use promo code SNARFUL for 20% off at strongcoffeecompany.com.
Let's look closer at today's top tech stories.
Yeah, our mission here in this deep dive is always to take these massive global shifts in technology and translate them into what they actually mean for you.
Mm-hmm.
The working professional, the parent.
The person just trying to understand the systems running in the background of their daily life.
Exactly. And our first story is, it's the definition of a massive global shift.
It really is.
South Korea has just announced a staggering 800 trillion won mega project.
Which, for those doing the math at home, is roughly 576 billion US dollars.
Yeah, $500 billion.
This initiative is being spearheaded by President Lee Jae-myung alongside tech giants like Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix.
Right.
They're setting out to build 4 brand new memory chip fabrication sites in the southwestern region of the country, specifically in places like Gwangju and South Jeolla.
Okay, so it's a huge physical expansion.
Huge. And on top of that, they're developing a massive chip packaging cluster in the Chongqing area.
Let's unpack this, because $500 billion is the kind of money that literally alters the geopolitical landscape.
Oh, absolutely.
The stated goal here comes down to what President Lee called the triple axis.
The triple axis?
Yeah. They want overwhelming global industry leadership in 3 distinct, but obviously connected areas. So that's semiconductors, physical AI, and AI data centers.
Which makes sense, because right now, high bandwidth memory chips are the absolute bottleneck for the entire global artificial intelligence race.
Exactly. Every single major AI model you interact with relies on these very specific chips to process information at scale.
But there's also a deeply domestic strategy layered into this, right?
Yeah, for sure.
For a long time, the technological infrastructure in South Korea has been just hyper-concentrated in the Seoul metropolitan area. Hubs like Yongin and Pyeongtaek have been the epicenter.
But they're tapped out.
Totally tapped out. They've reached their maximum capacity for urban sprawl, power consumption, and water usage. So this massive new project is a strategic move to narrow regional disparities, basically moving the center of gravity away from Seoul to revive rural economies.
Wait, I gotta jump in here, because logistically that makes very little sense. You can't just decree a new tech hub into existence because the capital is getting crowded. I mean, it sounds like someone saying, oh, Bay Area traffic is terrible, so let's just drop $500 billion and build an identical Silicon Valley from scratch in the middle of the Midwest.
Right. It sounds completely absurd on paper.
Yeah. Cutting-edge fabrication plants require unbelievable amounts of infrastructure. They need massive electrical grids, water supplies, and deeply established supplier networks. Can a country actually scale those resources fast enough in a brand new region just to meet surging AI demand?
See, that is the core vulnerability of this entire plan. Building a semiconductor fab is arguably the most complex manufacturing process human beings have ever devised.
Seriously.
Let's just look at the water constraint you mentioned.
Okay.
Fabs require millions of gallons of ultra-pure water. And this isn't just, filtered drinking water.
Right.
This is water stripped of absolutely everything. Minerals, particulates, even dissolved gases.
Oh, wow. Even the gases.
Yeah, because it has to be used to wash silicon wafers between highly volatile chemical processes. If that water isn't perfectly pure, a single microscopic particle ruins a silicon wafer that costs thousands of dollars.
So they literally have to build municipal-level water purification facilities before they even pour the concrete for the factory floor.
Exactly. And the power grid requirements are equally punishing. The electrical flow to a fab must be massive, obviously, but also completely uninterrupted.
Like zero downtime.
Zero. A microsecond dip in power, like a tiny voltage fluctuation, can ruin months of precision work on the fabrication line.
That is insane. So pumping $576 billion into the region is merely step one.
Merely step one.
Mm-hmm.
The execution risk is incredibly high because they're essentially racing the clock to lay a foundation while simultaneously trying to build a skyscraper on top of it.
Which brings it directly back to why you, the listener, should actually care about a factory being built on the other side of the world.
Yeah, it's not just a distant news story.
No, it comes down to supply chain stability. The smartphone in your pocket, the diagnostic equipment at your local hospital, the cloud servers running your company's software, they are all completely at the mercy of this global supply chain.
Right.
If South Korea successfully pulls off this regional expansion, it stabilizes the flow of memory chips worldwide. But if they hit those infrastructure bottlenecks we just talked about,
Then the technology you rely on every day becomes significantly more expensive and harder to acquire.
Exactly. But building the chips is still only half the battle.
Right. You need a place to put them.
Yeah, once you successfully manufacture the most advanced memory chips in the world, you need massive facilities to house and power them. Let's look closer at story number 2, because this perfectly illustrates that next step.
Yes, the data centers.
SK Group, GS Group, and Naver are investing an additional 550 trillion won. That is roughly 357.5 billion US dollars dedicated specifically to building AI data centers.
It's just staggering numbers.
Their initial target is 8.4 gigawatts of capacity, scaling up to an astonishing 18.4 gigawatts by 2035.
Let's put some real-world parameters around those numbers, because GS Group alone is spending 30 trillion won on a single campus in Donghai, Gangwon Province.
Right.
And when this campus rolls out in phases by 2028 and 2029, it will operate at 2.4 gigawatts, making it the largest data center in Asia.
Okay, we really need to translate gigawatts here, because honestly, it just sounds like a fictional measurement from a sci-fi movie.
Back to the future style, yeah.
Exactly. 1 gigawatt is roughly the total energy capacity of a large nuclear reactor, or, about 3 million solar panels working in peak conditions.
Oh, wow.
So scaling to 18.4 gigawatts by 2035 means dedicating the equivalent output of 18 nuclear reactors purely to processing artificial intelligence.
That is I mean, we're watching the architecture of the future being poured in concrete and copper wire.
We really are. And, reading through the notes on this incredibly meticulous multi-decade rollout actually triggered a fascinating connection to another piece of research we were looking at.
Oh, the theater thing.
Yes. There was this side note about Chinese audiences currently flocking to licensed Korean musicals, specifically a psychological thriller called Interview.
Right. And the reviews for that production highlighted how tightly constructed the logic was. Audiences were captivated by how well-structured and intricately interwoven the plot mechanics were.
Exactly. And that is the exact same underlying philosophy here.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, South Korea is exporting this physical tech infrastructure with the exact same meticulous, universally appealing structure that makes their cultural exports dominate globally.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Right. Whether you are looking at the highly engineered factory mechanics of K-pop, the interlocking narrative of a stage play, or an 18-gigawatt AI data center network, it is a national strategy of systemic export.
They build underlying architectures that are highly optimized for global consumption and integration.
Precisely.
But the ultimate goal of all this optimized infrastructure isn't just to power, like, a faster chatbot on your laptop. This unprecedented investment introduces a major focus on what Samsung is calling physical AI. They've explicitly targeted the city of Gumi to develop this technology by 2030.
Okay, let's define physical AI for the listener. How does it actually differ from the generative AI we see today, like ChatGPT?
Well, generative AI understands language and patterns, right?
Yeah.
It lives on a screen.
Sure.
Physical AI means giving those reasoning capabilities spatial awareness and an understanding of real-world physics, and then putting them into a physical body,
Awesome.
like a humanoid robot.
So it's not just thinking, it's doing.
Exactly. The mechanism involves teaching an AI not just what a strawberry is, but the exact amount of torque and grip pressure required to pick one without crushing it.
That is wild.
Right. The real-world impact for your family is that this intelligence is stepping out of the screen. We're laying the groundwork for autonomous robotics in agriculture, harvesting crops with extreme precision. We're looking at robots assisting in delicate surgical procedures or providing physical elder care.
So we're tracking a massive international movement. $500 billion to build the chips, over $1/3 billion to power the massive server brains, all culminating in intelligent robots operating in our physical world.
Yep.
But as these physical systems scale into the trillions of dollars, they become massive targets for exploitation.
Oh, definitely.
Securing the physical pipelines of water and power forces us to look at how we're policing our digital pipelines.
Because the digital perimeter requires just as much maintenance as the physical grid.
Exactly. Which brings us to our third story. The U.S. Department of Justice, alongside Homeland Security investigations, just seized nearly 400 internet domains.
A huge sweep.
Yeah, these specific domains were illegally streaming 2026 FIFA World Cup matches. They're calling it Operation Offsides.
The scale of this operation is notable. It's actually 5 times the size of the crackdown we saw during the 2022 World Cup in Qatar.
Wow, 5 times.
Yeah, and part of the reason law enforcement can move so aggressively right now is jurisdictional. Because the U.S. is a co-host for the 2026 games, alongside Canada and Mexico, U.S. agencies have much firmer legal standing to act. They trace the hosting servers globally, hitting locations from Peru all the way to Bulgaria.
Now, I know someone listening to this is probably shrugging their shoulders.
Right, thinking, so what?
Yeah. I mean, tickets to these events are expensive. Cable packages and streaming subscriptions really add up. The common reaction is, who cares if someone sets up a free soccer stream on a random website?
It's entirely understandable to view it as a victimless crime against a massive sports broadcasting network.
Right.
But that fundamentally misunderstands the mechanism of how these pirate syndicates actually make their money. According to a recent Weebroot analysis, 92% of these illegal sports streaming sites carry malicious content.
92%. That is almost guaranteed infection.
Pretty much.
So you aren't just looking for a free game, you are voluntarily walking your home network into a digital minefield.
It's exactly. The syndicates embed malware in the video feeds, largely through the shadowy advertising networks that fund their server costs in the first place.
Let's walk through exactly how this malvertising works, because the mechanics are genuinely terrifying for anyone who assumes they practice good internet hygiene.
Oh, yeah. It's not what people think.
Right. A recent campaign linked to these types of sites infected over 1 million devices. They deployed information-stealing malware with names like Luma and Donerium. And the scariest part is that you don't even have to click a giant flashing download button to get infected.
No, not at all.
They use mechanisms called video frame redirectors.
And this is the crucial takeaway for listeners. You might feel safe because you know better than to download a sketchy executable file.
Right, we all know not to click the weird .exe file.
But with a video frame redirector, the infection happens through normal user interaction. The moment you click play, or even just click the player to unmute the broadcast, an invisible script executes in the background.
No download prompt. No warning from your browser asking for a password.
The click itself leverages a vulnerability in the browser. It triggers a rapid chain of background redirects, bouncing your connection through several malicious hops in milliseconds, and then it funnels the information stealer directly into your device's active memory.
Oh, man.
It scrapes the token caches in your browser. This means it instantly grabs your saved passwords, your active session logins for your bank, your email, literally everything.
And if you happen to be watching that soccer match on a work laptop,
then that malware now has a foothold into your entire enterprise network.
I have to challenge the effectiveness of the DOJ strategy here, though.
Okay, how so?
I mean, seizing 400 domains makes for a really great press release, but anyone who tracks internet piracy knows these syndicates operate with massive automated redundancy.
Correct.
They just rotate their IP addresses, spin up a backup server, and they are back online under a slightly different domain name in 10 minutes. Isn't this just an incredibly expensive international game of digital whack-a-mole?
Look, it is absolutely a game of whack-a-mole, and cybersecurity experts openly acknowledge that reality.
Right.
But it's about breaking their economic model through speed and scale. If law enforcement only takes down one domain a week, the syndicates adjust instantly without feeling it.
Makes sense.
But when you seize 400 domains simultaneously across multiple countries, hitting servers in Peru, Bulgaria, and elsewhere, all at the exact same moment, you fundamentally disrupt their infrastructure network.
So it forces them to bleed resources just to stay online.
Exactly. It costs them significant money, time, and bandwidth to rebuild that massive redundancy from scratch. And that disruption degrades the quality of the illegal streams.
Right, the video buffers, the site goes down mid-match.
And the end user gets frustrated and leaves. By raising the cost of doing business for the cyber criminals and degrading the product, you keep everyday consumers from wandering into these highly compromised networks in the first place.
Wow. It is just a profound realization that the digital world requires just as much heavy-duty infrastructure maintenance and border patrol as the physical world.
Before we wrap up, a quick thanks to Old Glory, an iconic music and sports fan merch store. Perfect for the techie in your life. Use promo code SNARFUL for 15% off at oldglory.com.
Bringing all of these threads together for you today, we're watching a fascinating duality unfold in real time.
We really are.
On one hand, in South Korea, we are witnessing a physical land grab for the future of artificial intelligence. Trillions of won are being poured into securing the ultra-pure water, the massive tracts of land, and the raw gigawatts of power needed to build the brains of tomorrow's physical robots.
And right alongside that physical expansion, we're seeing massive digital border patrol operations by the U.S. government and international agencies.
Right.
They're actively policing the web, not just to protect intellectual property, but to protect you from highly sophisticated global malware traps hidden in everyday entertainment.
It all comes down to controlling the pipelines. Whether that's the literal pipes carrying purified water to cool a semiconductor fab, the electrical grid powering an 18-gigawatt server farm, or the secure internet routing that brings the World Cup safely into your living room.
The mechanics of the future are surprisingly industrial, honestly.
They are. As tech companies require tens of gigawatts to run AI, and streaming syndicates build increasingly sophisticated digital traps. Will the future of technology be less about the software we use and entirely about who controls the electrical grid and our cyber borders? It's something to ponder the next time you connect to the web.
The hidden foundation dictates everything built on top of it.
We're here to help at Snarful, so reach out on our website if you have any more questions.
That's a wrap on today's top stories. Remember, tech doesn't have to be complicated, and we're here to help connect the dots. If you've got questions or want to learn more, visit us at snarful.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.